It's okay. It's okay. Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you all and open today's vision speaker, Alexandru Bute. And I would like to briefly, first of all, introduce the Bilim Kızı for our guest and Alexandru, and then I will introduce to you Alexander Booth as his short CV, and then I will give you the session to Alexandru. And dear guest, dear guest and Alexandru, Bilim Kızı is a trademark, means science girl, and we use the Bilim Kızı. Bilim Kızı is a niche, a social innovation project in STEM, and we have started in 2016, and this Bilim Kızı was transformed in a community in 2021. Uh, since starting 2016, we have reached 107 female students and with 58 female scientists, just like Ayşe, just like Emine. Professor Emine, you can say hello to Alexandru. And just like Handan, it's a good mentor. Just like Semiha, it's a good mentor. Just like Songül, it's a good bilim kızı mentors. And 2000, last year, 2075, UNESCO recognized us in the field of open science and awarded us. And we are uh, very excited about this news. And among our 107 girls who want to academic careers and become science entrepreneur, just like this session theme. And 70% of our girls study in genetic biotechnology and biology, and 30 percentages is of them are from of them physics, chemistry, and mathematics. And 30% of our girls want to become a science entrepreneur, just like Alexandro and Handan, Professor Handan. And we have four female professor, just like Professor Handan, is a science entrepreneur with companies focused on artificial intelligence. And Professor Handan has a tissue generation companies, and other professors has pain treatment companies, and one other professor has a animal diagnostic companies. And by listening to this evening to you, we will learn the tips for the beginning international science entrepreneurs. This is the first vision speakers programs in the Bilim Kızı in this year. It's a good vision speakers for us, and in this session, our moderator is a Professor Ayşe, and I want to thank you to Ayşe that she introduced you to us. Thank you for your time, and I would like to brief you, introduce you, and on your CV. Alexander Booth is a researcher and a lecturer with PhD, and he has two books and over 40 peer review publications. He has over 6 years of experience in both academic and applied research, contributing to multiple European and national projects. We likes this type of the guys, and it's the projects and academic and applied research. We like very much. He is currently a lecturer at Gizma University of Applied Science in Berlin, teaching business management, digital innovation, and academic and professional development. Previously, he worked as a scientific researcher at the Vegetable Research and Development Station in Baku, focusing on plant breeding and data analysis while pursuing in PhD at Lassie University of Life Science, where he researched ways to optimize seed production techniques and lower operating costs. Nice project. Alexander brings together horticulture, computer science, and business grounded in research and practices while supporting others on their own journey. Thank you, Alexanders. Uh, Camera and stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Very very happy to be here. As I said, I think I need to share my screen. Please let me know if it's visible.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. So hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining this talk. I'm truly honored, as I said earlier, to be here. And again, I'm really grateful that everyone who is involved in organizing this webinar and supporting this amazing project is here. So also especially to Aish, as I said, because for reaching out and trusting me and deliver this session. So also that means a lot. Thank you for the nice introduction, Professor Mujan. Sorry if I'm mistaking your name.
It's a hard name, Müjgan.
I'm always struggling with the students as well with the international names. I'm really bad at it, so I'm really sorry if I will be
No, no.
butchering your names a bit, but yeah. So don't take it personally. Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. Yeah, my name is Alexandru. I'm as I said, a researcher by training, but now I'm currently working in academia as a lecturer in business management. And what I'm not, I want to say also, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a business consultant or a startup investor. I'm just, someone who spent years inside the research projects and running experiments, analyzing data sets, and also, yeah, writing papers and navigating those academic systems, and who become increasingly interested in one simple question, and that is why so much good research never reach everyday people. And in today's talk, I wanna talk about that gap, yeah, about a realistic way, and that you students, researchers, can start creating this real world impact without quitting academia. This is very important. Without quitting and without needing to become business experts. So let's start with with a bit of uncomfortable truth for like that is that we and in academia and research we produce now more knowledge than any point in human history before. More papers, more experiments, more data sets, and more discoveries, which is great. But yet most of the knowledge never reaches everyday people in a usable form, in a tangible form. In academia, we are trained to believe that once the research is published, the job is done. Paper is accepted, project finished, impact is delivered. But nonetheless, a paper sitting in a journal does not change the world, unfortunately. It only changes the world for if someone uses it, and um, that's not usually what's happening. So if you look at this simple flow chart I have over here, research, knowledge translation, and real world impact, and most research activity stops at the first box, and at research and publications. Sciencepreneurship happens right over there in the middle, is the translation layer, as it's called. It's what turns ideas, data, and discoveries into things that people can actually use, and that's what I mean as products, tools, services, and I don't know, policies, and so on, practices, and this matter today is more than ever because we are facing problems that are um, beyond our theoretical problems that we face in academia. We are facing climate change. We are facing sustainable food production issues. We are facing public health issues, and of course, energy transitions. All of those problems have scientific knowledge behind them, yeah? So the bottleneck today is no longer the discovery. The bottleneck is the knowledge translation. University today are no longer seen as the place that only produces papers, scientific papers. Usually funders and governments and society at all is keep asking what value does this research actually create and who benefits from it. So uh, so sciencepreneurship is not something nice to have or something extra to put it on top of your title. It's becoming part of the more what modern research is expecting to do. So here's something I think very important. And censorship does not mean that you suddenly become a CEO or where you have to quit academia and start pitching for investors and go to try to find funding and things like that. It simply means that you start asking one extra question about your research. And that question is who could actually use this and how? And this is the key idea around this whole talk that I'm about to do. This knowledge itself it doesn't create impact by itself. Yeah? Knowledge creates impact only when it's translated into use. Yeah. So the translation process is exactly what sciencepreneurship is about. So once we accept the idea that there's a problem, there is this translation gap, the next logical step is to look at it at a more closely and try to understand it. So a change probably, sorry. Yeah, okay. Now that we now that we've seen that something uh, it's an issue, something is happening, and we need to feel that. So the gap between the research and real world impact. Yeah, on we have here on the slide on the left side we have the academic world. This is where you know better than me. You're a more experienced researcher. You know that here's ideas are generated, where data is collected and experiments are being run, where papers are written and published, and this part of the system works extremely well. Yeah, we are very good at producing knowledge. And on the right side, we have the society at all and the market. And this is where people have societal challenges. We are where organization needs solution and decisions need to be made in another perspective, and tools and technologies are actually used. So this is the part of the system that needs scientific input from the academia. And if we look at the middle, in the middle we have this, which is the gap, almost nothing, what I like to call it, and no clear bridge between academia to market. It's not a standard process, not a default pathway to from a proper scientific paper to a usable solution. And yeah, the space in the middle is what it's called the translation gap. And this is why so much excellent research never goes anywhere. It's just on papers. It's not because it's bad research, or because it's not because it's useless. It's very good, but um, because nobody is responsible for translating into something usable. And the system rewards discovery. We are being rewarded for publishing, not for delivering. And in academia, career depends on publications and citations and grants and impact factors. Almost nobody gets promoted because their research helped a company, a hospital, or I don't know, a village, a city, or something like that. Yeah. So we are rational people. Now we focus on what the system rewards. So we focus on paper and not on products. And there's also the skills problem. Researchers and we are trained to design experiments, to analyze data, to write the papers. We are very good at defending our arguments, but we are not trained to talk to the users, to test whether our idea is needed out there, if we can turn our idea into a service. So we are also not trained to think in terms of value creation. So when a researcher wants to create impact, they often don't know where to start. And this is not some sort of a criticism. This is a design design flaw in the system from how I see it. We build a system that optimizes for knowledge creation, for knowledge production, but not for knowledge use. And this is exactly where sciencepreneurship comes in. It's about replacing research. It's not about replacing research. It's about filling the empty layer that you see over here. It's about bridging the gap, and it's about creating a bridge between what we know from academia and what people might actually need in real world problems. So the core of the problem is most research fails to cross, as I stated over there, the last mile into the real world use. Sciencepreneurship exists to solve the last mile problem. And once we understand that this gap exists, and the next logical question becomes, what exactly is sciencepreneurship, no? And how is it different from normal entrepreneurship? But before we go into that, I want to tell you who is this webinar for and for who is not. And first of all, of course, is wrapped somehow around bachelor's and master's students, and of course PhD, and of course for you experienced researchers as well. And anyone curious about what happens to research after it's published, or what could happen, and especially for anyone who ever looked at their own work and thought this could actually help someone, and but I have no idea how. And And also for those who care about innovation and impact, but are not particularly excited into business. You don't have to be excited into business. You don't have to know a lot about business, and you don't even.
Alexandru, this
Yes,
webinar is for us, all of us, just
yes.
like, thanks.
Okay, I'll get through it faster. So yeah, for who is not, and is not if you're expecting me to have a magic formula how to do a business, how to do a startup or come up with any success stories. We are um, I'm here maybe to explain the logic of how research becomes usable, and maybe I help you. Hopefully, I'll be able to help you a bit to spot opportunities inside your academic work that you didn't see before. So, with that out of the way, let's finally define what we actually mean by sciencepreneurship. No, because I know it sounds like one of those buzzwords that you hear, and it looks like someone invented in a marketing department to sell you something. Well, here's the simple and the most honest definition I know, and this is that sciencepreneurship is the process of turning scientific knowledge into real world value. And in other words, it's what happens when research stops being just information and starts becoming something useful for someone. And when I say value, I do not mean only money. Yeah, money is also included, but value can mean saving time, reducing costs, improving decisions, or improving health, or I don't know, sustainability. Uh, so sciencepreneurship simply connects these three things: uh, research, what we discover; innovation, how we shape it into something usable; and practical use, how people could actually benefit from it. So uh, that's why I like to think about it in those three simple transitions from scientific paper to products or services or solutions, and from discovery to application, from knowledge to value. And now something uh, very important I have to say: sciencepreneurship is not about becoming a full-time entrepreneur. It does not mean quitting academia. It's very important, this one. It does not mean starting a startup. It's not about raising money. So it's much closer to a mindset than to a process. It's a way of looking at your own research and asking yourself, could this be useful for someone else outside my field, or is it just for me? And if the answer is yes, um, what would it look in real life? So if the problem that we just talked was the translation, the gap that we just talked between research and the impact, sciencepreneurship is simply the name we give to an activity to fill that gap. Yeah? And now that we have that all of the clear, so the next question should be, how is sciencepreneurship different now from entrepreneurship? And this is a slide, it gets a bit tense because when I say entrepreneurship, people start to think, because entrepreneurship comes with a lot of baggage, they start to think about all of those things: startup, investors, money, stress, risk, failure, long hours, pitching. Uh, Not like in academia, we don't have that. We have that also over there. We don't have the money there, but that's okay. And but yeah. Many researchers think that I'm not like that. That's not for me, or it's not normal. And this is exactly why we need to clarify. Yeah? So censorship is not regular entrepreneurship done by scientists. It has a different logic, and because it has a different starting point in the first place, a different goal, and of course a very different risk profile, and that's also very important. In traditional entrepreneurship, um, we usually start with a market opportunity. We see a problem that people are willing to pay for it. So if we see that, we build the product. In sciencepreneurship, we start from the research we already have, and with what we discovered, with the method, with the idea, and we are not building it towards only creating value in terms of money. Yeah, we are creating in terms of actually value in terms of usage, and the question is, could this research actually, be useful for someone? And the second one, the problem, in traditional entrepreneurship, the problem is that how do I make this business and how do I profit from it? In sciencepreneurship, the problem is how do I translate the knowledge into real world use? And for the goal, traditional entrepreneurship, it's more about the profits first. This is what they care. And the sciencepreneurship is actually impact first. And money is not a tool. Is It actually is a tool, but it's a tool when it's needed. It's not a purpose. And the main question, as I said, is does it actually help someone? The context. And here we have, traditional entrepreneurship usually happens outside academia. It's in startup incubators, and all those amazing stories with people starting their businesses in different garages or basements. And entrepreneurship is often happening inside academia. It's in the laboratory, in the PhD programs, and postdocs, and the research projects. So you don't have to, this is one thing that I want to say it, and I can probably say it again. So you don't have to leave a research environment to start creating this impact that I'm talking about. In terms of risk, traditional entrepreneurship is very high risk. It presents, well, with, of course, high risk and high opportunities, but still, it implies usually quitting your job, investing money, and usually going all in with that. And in entrepreneurship, you can start with low risk profile, because you start with pilots, you start with small experiments, or usually we do user tests, and we are going to talk about that in a minute. So you can explore more safely, with low risk. And traditional entrepreneurship usually say that it's full-time. Entrepreneurship can be, I'm not sure to which extent part-time, but still, it's kind of compatible if we are still in research, and we do the studies, and we even teach. So everyone can do it without leaving the academy. So if you think that I'm not an entrepreneur, I don't like business, I don't want to start a company, well, great. You can still be a sciencepreneur. It's about the translation, and the impact is not about the revenue. Sciencpreneurship is also not a career change. It's just maybe an expansion to your identity as a researcher. You are still a researcher, but you add the second role. You are the translator of knowledge into something practical. And the key idea, is this: is entrepreneurship is impact first, and profit, and not profits first, as in normal entrepreneurship. Now,
Alexandru, can
yes,
I
please.
ask questions?
Sure, sure.
And this screen is a good summary all of this, the reality of the entrepreneurship. And you have said that the entrepreneurship's goals is a profit and growth. But the sciencepreneurship's goals is that the real world impact. You are right, but I think that profit and growth maybe uh,
Thanks.
added to sciencepreneurship.
Then
I I believe that our our
everyone. All of us have interest in that. That is something that no one can deny. We all need it to survive. We all need it, and we unfortunately the world is built in such a way that we all want more of it. But the idea behind sciencepreneurship is you're not focused on the returns. You're focused on the actually making your work helpful for someone else. And if the money comes, yeah, then it's great. It's amazing because you've done something that you love and you also get a lot of money out of it. But in entrepreneurship, you only start with the end in mind. You start with the end of actually having the money first. So you build your idea based on where the monies are. While in sciencepreneurship, you build your idea around your interest and maybe how you can help someone.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you also for the great question. Yes, um, that's obvious. I know I was a bit, yeah, a liar when I said that, money, but yeah, we all need it. So, but yeah, that's not the main thing. It's maybe the second most important thing in sciencepreneurship. Good. Thank you. So now that we kind of clarified a bit with how sciencepreneurship differs from traditional entrepreneurship, let's talk about a bit about your role, yeah, as a researcher um, and how can you um, what role can you play in creating this impact? And as I stated, you don't have to be the best innovator. You don't have to start a company. Innovation doesn't only happen, in Silicon Valley as we see it in those ads that we see, yeah, and everywhere. It happens right there where you are, in your classroom, in your laboratory, in your specific field. So. Um, the first thing this is, to understand is innovation often begins with what you already have. So you start with the idea, and this is all of those things, the idea, the method, or all of those are the starting points. You don't need to invent something completely new. So the key is asking this powerful question, which is it could this research yeah, be useful for someone outside academia? You can start small for sure. As I previously said a bit, innovation doesn't have to be a giant leap, so it doesn't feel like a huge thing with a lot of pressure on it. So start with small experiments, with pilot projects and proof of concepts. We're gonna get soon to that also, and with proof of concept, we can show if these things have really world value. So even a small improvement into a process or a method that you work with gonna make is probably gonna make a huge difference in practice. So yeah, um, as I stated, and I'm gonna probably say it again, you don't have to leave academia. Yeah, another important point, it's very important. You don't have to leave it. Often, and this is how it usually happens, suspension happens inside the research environment, in the laboratory, in the PhD programs, in the postdoc. Yeah, those are all amazing fertile grounds for your innovation. Um, and you can create impact while continuing your studies. This is the most important thing, no? Or teaching, or whatever we are all doing in our day-to-day work life. Curiosity and context. This is the real driver, let's say, of a science entrepreneurship is when you combine those two, and we get the real world use. Yeah. So the questions to ask is who could use this research? Who does fit in, and how does it fit in my workflow? What small things might I be able to do in practical and usefulness? So yeah, curiosity alone is creates the ideas, and the context transforms the idea into those practical solutions. Um, so let's this was a bit so you can have an idea about you don't need to make sudden changes, and you don't need to make something drastic to do this. Yeah, you can do it inside it in all of your fields and in your way of doing it. Um, Now we move to a bit more practical side of it. Yeah, we talked about how you can become how you can become researchers and innovators, and now we said that innovation doesn't need to start with startups, yeah, or companies. It can be done in the academia, but it starts with actually how you look at your own research. So the question is okay, I'm an innovator. Yeah, we just settled that in the previous slide. But how do I know whether my research is actually useful outside academia at all? So we will focus on that now. So I want to start with a honest and very important statement. Um, um, Not every great paper should become a product, and not every PhD thesis should become a startup. I'm sorry, but not all the ideas needs to go to the market, and that's not a failure. That's a success still. But this is the reality. Some research is meant to be only knowledge and expanded knowledge, and some research is meant to be theory. And some research is meant to um, extend to other researchers and help into expanding even further. And sciencepreneurship is about identifying and pointing our fingers towards that small fraction of research that could become useful in actual real world. And the thing is that we are in academia, we're trained to evaluate research like this. Is it novel? Is it elegant? Is statistically significant? Is theoretically interesting? And those are amazing, excellent scientific questions. But for real world impact, they are not enough. We need to add just one extra question for sciencepreneurship. So, could someone outside academia use this for something practical? Yeah. So this is the question that actually changes how we look at our own work. People who work in research translation have realized something very simple is for research to actually become usable in real world, three conditions must be true at the same time. So we can see them all on this slide and in the circle. So if it works, this is the first condition. It has to work outside the lab. And what I mean by that is not just once, or it doesn't need to work only when the scientific researcher is over there, and it doesn't need to work only in your laboratory perfect conditions. It has to be robust. It has to be repeatable, and of course needs to be scalable. And for example, if your method works only when you run it, it's not ready for real use. And the same applies to anything. If your algorithm works on one data set, it's not ready. Yeah. So usefulness, yeah, useful, the second circle. So this is the second condition, and it has to solve a real world problem. And here is where many researchers get stuck, because in academic problem, an academic problem is not the same as a societal problem. An academic problem is there is a gap in the literature. There is a variable that has not been studied, a model that has not been tested. Yeah. Well, in real world, in societal, the problems are the process is too slow. This is too expensive. this produces too many errors, this creates too much risks, or it wastes too much of my time. And these are some key differences between real world value, and academical value. And protectable, the third one, yeah. This is a bit uncomfortable, but it's quite important. If anyone can read your paper tomorrow, if you publish it and copy your method next week, then it's very hard to create a lasting world impact. And why? It's because no one will invest time and money into developing something that competitors can instantly copy. And this is why it's important to have intellectual property matters. Yeah, so it's not to get you rich, and it's just to simply have uh, and not to hide your work or something like that. It's simply to give your idea time enough to grow. So moving on to reality checks. Yeah, this is some tests. Yeah, is the test the so what. In academia, we often say the mechanism is novel, is fascinating, but people outside of academia look at it and say, "So what? Uh, what does actually this change for me?" And here is the rule: if it doesn't change anything, and if you cannot explain in one sentence how your research is going to save him time, money, or resolve one of his problem, then you don't have a market potential yet for that idea, and that's okay. Isn't it? This is one of those fourth reality checks. Yeah. The second one, yeah, painkiller versus vitamin. This one is also useful. It's quite easy to be done, and the answers the questions like this: Is your research a painkiller or a vitamin? And the way you frame it is like this: a vitamin is nice to have. It improves things a little. You'll feel a little bit better. But a painkiller solves a problem that is causing real pain. It's something that keeps you up at night. So you take a painkiller, not take a vitamin if you have a headache. So markets and especially markets pay for painkillers. They don't pay that much for vitamins. And yeah, the copying problem, the intellectual property. Here is the harsh but a bit, let's say, important question is, if someone reads my paper tomorrow, yeah, how long it will take them to build it, something similar. 2 weeks, 1 year, I don't know, something like that. If the answer is 2 years, of course, then your translation path, the one that I just explained, is very weak. Because nothing protects your idea while you develop it. Yeah, so this is why we need to do the intellectual property. And finally, the readiness level, and this basically says how mature is really your idea, and is it just on paper or it works outside of the lab, and is something that someone can already use. So most of the real world translation only happens after the proof of concept. Yeah, we're going to talk about it soon. So identifying these research questions, research problems that have market potential is not about building companies, building startups. It's about spotting which ideas that you have in your own research have the chance to escape into the outside, out of your lab. Yeah. Oh. So now um, early validation, yeah. This slide might look a bit, maybe simple, or I don't know, but conceptually, this is one of the most important. Is one of the most important one of the whole talk, because this is the point where good research either moves closer to impact, or quietly disappears. Yeah. So. Most researchers, do the same thing. They said, I do it myself. Yeah, let me first finish my method. Let me make the prototype more robust. Let me collect a bit more data, maybe, and only later they say, well, they will look if someone actually wants this. This feels safe. You need to make sure that your idea is good, but it's risky because you spend maybe years optimizing something that in the end doesn't have a real world usage, doesn't solve a problem for anybody. So you just wasted all those times. Early validation, yes, simply means checking whether the problem exists outside of your project. So it's not about approval, it's not about funding, or it's about checking with the reality out there. And we have, yes, interview problem, talking to people. This is a real big problem that we face all as researchers. So let me give you an example of it. You imagine develop a new sensor or something like that might help you detect something very fast and very cheap. Yeah. The wrong question would be, if you go out there and speak to the people that might buy it, and say, if I build this sensor, would you use it? People will say yes, always. Yeah. But the correct approach is, tell me about the last time that you had a detection problem, or what went wrong, and what did you do to actually deal with the problem. And if they can't remember when they had that problem, then it's obvious that it's cost effective. Yeah, it's negligible for them. So then the problem doesn't need to be followed. It's not strong enough to actually have market opportunity. Yes. Another method to check this is what it's called the fake door. So you don't need a product. You don't even need a website or a landing page or something like that. You just you need a landing page. Sorry, you don't need a website big, but in which you could say, like, we are exploring this solution, but this can be done on all this social media platforms. So we are exploring a solution for problem X. Here is what I could improve. If you are interested, leave me your email or something like that. If nobody reacts, you do not get any input, then that's not a failure. That's information that could have saved you months of work. It's obvious that's not an idea that worth to be pursued. Another example to find out if it's worth to go on is, you, especially students, and if you have, you must have a lot of colleagues in your universities. So you identify, I don't know, 20, 30 people that could be affected by that problem that you also might have. And you send them a message. You say, like, I'm doing this research for the problem X again. And you say, let me see. I just want to understand how you deal it with this today. If almost nobody replies to you, it usually means that the problem is not urgent, and it's an urgency is a key aspect for real world matters. We as researchers, we must accept one uncomfortable idea, and that is that a technically brilliant solution to a weak problem has no chance to actually create something impactfulness in the real world. So, but the simple solution to a very painful problem can change real systems. Yeah, can have a huge impact. So if you remember one thing that out of this slide is this validate first. Yeah, validate the problem and start building your prototype, your proof of concept after that. Yeah, so validate before build. This is very important. Now, what you might say, what is the difference? What is the proof of concept, first of all, and what is an actual product? So we will take a look next at that. Yeah. So on the left, we have the so-called proof of concept. This is the moment we love as researchers. Yeah, in the lab, we see that it's working. Yeah, the principle works. I don't know, the physics, the chemistry, where the data is correct, and we confirm our hypothesis. Yeah, and we can say, amazing, it works. But notice what it works really means. So it works under specific conditions. It works with the inventor present, with the expert knowledge over there, and often with a lot of adjustments. So if you change the environment of that proof of concept, if you give it to someone outside your domain, or if you try to scale it, it often fails. And thus, this is not the weakness. This is exactly what proof of concept must be. So, and now looking on the other side, this is obviously a finished product. Technically and scientifically, it does the exact same thing as the one in the left, and the prototype. But the core idea, which has not changed, has not changed. But the difference is not into the scientific novelty. The difference is in the usability. It's a product now. It works every time, and not just once. It works without you being there to show someone and everyone how it should be used. Yeah, and it survives transport in the first place, and handling and mistakes. And a simple way to say it is that everyone can use the one in the right. Yeah, not as the one in the left, for sure. So. Sciencepreneurship is not about inventing the left side. We all know that. You definitely are more experienced researchers, so you all know how to do that. It's not about defining the proof of concept. It's about surviving the long and difficult journey to turn the left side into the right side of this slide. Yeah. So this journey usually involves, engineering and a lot of work, design decision, hypothesis tested, and of course funding gaps, which we all we all feel. So yes, not every proof of concept, should become a product. This is another thing, yeah, but the important thing is that every researcher should understand the difference, yeah, because misunderstanding this gap leads to frustration, and we ask ourselves, why isn't the industry interested in my product? Why won't the investors fund this? And why does nobody want to accept and adopt my technology? So yeah, important thing to remember from here is that proof of concept is there to prove the idea. Yeah, a product, an end product delivers that value to someone else, yeah, who is willing most of the times to pay money for it. Yeah, so now the obvious and the logical question is what sits between those two stages, and that brings us to the next topic, and which is intellectual property. Yeah, now I want I know it's a bit uncomfortable for everyone. I think, when I hear intellectual property, for me, for myself also, I only hear legal responsibilities, legal perspectives, so yeah. But this is not about it. This is simply about understanding the rules of the game. Yeah, when research starts to move a bit beyond the publications, and the thing is that as researchers, we are trained to share the ideas. We publish papers. We want to publish more. We want to present it at the conferences, and we discuss the idea openly. And this is actually a good thing because this is how science progresses. But the moment that we want our work to be used in our in daily lives, and not just to be read, timing becomes important. And this is also something I want to mention. This is not about hiding knowledge. We are not hiding it. We are just choosing when we share it, in order for many other people to profit from it. So the most important thing that I want to you guys to remember from him is this: patent first and publish later. If you publicly describe an invention in a paper or in these kind of talks as well, into a poster or in a conference, you may permanently already lose the rights to protect it. And this is especially in Europe, publicly disclosure usually means that there's no way to actually patent that anymore. So,
Can I
imagine
ask
that.
a question?
Sure, sure.
When we apply the patent, is it possible after that to publish as a paper?
Exactly.
Or we should wait in order to certify this patent?
After yeah, that's the right one. We need to certify the patent. Yeah, we don't need actually to have a product, but we need to patent our idea. And that is basically not our specific as individuals. It can be patented by the university or at the workplace, but it needs to be
Okay.
patented. That means it's our intellectual property. We can share it, but if someone wants to build the product that we are thinking of, they are not allowed to, because it's our idea. So
Yes.
after we patent our idea and it gets the approval, then yeah, we can publish everything, even though we don't have the proof of concept or the product.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you also. Good questions. Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that. So now yeah, I want to give an example. Imagine that you develop
Sorry to interrupt, but someone is raising hand, so
Oh,
you
sorry, I
have
haven't
one
saw.
more
Oh, yeah,
question
yeah.
coming up.
Yes, please. Please. Sorry. And thank you for pointing that out, Aisa. Yes, please.
I have a question. Thank you for your presentation. Do you think a scientific study need to be turned into the commercial product to be considered as scientific scanner and scientific authorship or creating social impact enough?
I'm not sure if I got the question right, but so you mean the question is that if your idea is worth or no, is if could you try to repeat it, please?
Scientific study
Yes.
need to be turned into commercial product
Yeah.
to be considered scientific internship
Ah,
or creating social impact enough?
well, if we look at how entrepreneurship is it's framed around, it's not usually a product all the time, but I'm not sure what you mean when you say impact, but impact can be created in some sort of a form of a value, not only in the need to be in that need to be a product. It can be a service as well. So if your idea can create impact and add value, it can be done. Yeah, it's sciencepreneurship, but it doesn't need to be mandatory a product. It can be also a service.
Okay.
Hopefully I've answered your question if I got that right.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Thank you also. Thank you. So, someone else, or we move on? Okay. So imagine you develop a clever new method during your PhD, yeah, and you're very proud about it. Of course you are. So you presented at the conference, yeah. So someone in the industry is in the audience, and it hears what you're saying, yeah. It takes notes. It takes notes, and they see the potential of that idea, and their company files a patent on an application on your idea. So you did excellent science. You've done a great job, but you're no longer in control of how it's being used. So here is the important clarification. Filing a patent does not mean that you cannot publish. Yeah, and in most cases, once the patent is submitted, as I said, you can publish normally. The patent will be there to help you translate it into real world value later. The second, let's say, concept that researchers should know, it's called freedom to operate. Yeah, this answers different questions. Even if you own a patent, are you actually allowed to sell the product? For example, think of this: you invent something and patent. Let's say a door handle. You invent a door handle, yeah, and you patent it, and but someone else's owns the patent to the doors. You still need the approval of them to actually sell your door handles. It makes sense. So protect your idea. Freedom to operate determines whether you can use it. There's a lot into this, and I'm sure that there are millions of legal aspects into this, but yeah, this is a bit of also of my understanding, and hopefully it gives you a bit of broad information about it. So before we move to the next slide, yeah, I want to keep to let you with this in mind. Yeah, so intellectual properties, prototypes, or methods are very important. Yeah, but the mindset and maybe the practical skills that you bring to the table are equally important. Yeah. So why I'm saying that is because we focus a bit on the skills that are needed now, that we hopefully I was a bit helping you in understanding how research could become a product. Yeah, when I'm saying product, I also mean service and so on. Yeah, so now let's talk about something as important. Yeah, it's you. Yeah, the researcher, the innovator that I was just describing. So even with the best idea, with the right prototype and the proper intellectual property, your success depends on the skills that academia often doesn't teach you or teaches you, but let's say in a different way. So we might need to maybe shift a bit our view into those skills. So I think I previously said also in research we are trained to wait until the data is perfect. Yeah, we want almost 100% certainty before publishing. Yeah, that's because it's obvious errors can damage your reputation. You don't want that, of course. And in sciencepreneurship, the shift is like this: waiting for the perfect data, it's fatal. The market doesn't wait, and doesn't wait, especially for you to actually be sure. So you need to act even if you have, I don't know, less than 50% of the information. Decisions under certainty, experimenting quickly and iterating as fast as possible is some essential skills. Think of it as a mindset shift, yeah, from perfection, which we all, I know, tend to. At least this is also my problem. I'm finding very hard sometimes to put something out there because in my head it's not perfect, but to also move it towards speed, yeah. So done, something being done, it's way better than perfect, and every small action teaches you something new. So we should just iterate it as fast as possible. Of course, in research, the complexity is rewarded. Yeah, the more technical your language is, the smarter you appear for your peers, and it's understandable. But the complexity for real world usage is a barrier, because investors have a lot of money, and customers are willing to pay that money, but they are willing to pay and invest, but they are not willing to decode your jargon. If they cannot understand your idea, and in less than 30 seconds, you've lost them. So the important aspect here is storytelling and simplification. Yeah, you can you explain your research in plain language? It's a test that can be used as explain it like to your grandma. If she understands it, and you are on the right track. So make it sure that you explain it as simple as possible in less than 30 seconds. Yeah? Investors are are the type of people that are not willing to wait and to understand your scientific jargon, unfortunately. And also in academia, when we talk about a failed experiment, it feels like, like a dead end. We are so upset, and you say that time is lost. Maybe the paper is not going to be published. My grant is going to be affected, or something like that. But in sciencepreneurship, failure, it's much more important because it means information. Every attempt that doesn't work tell us something. You might know what not to build, what assumptions are wrong, or maybe how to pivot your idea. So the key skill here is resilience. Learn to treat failure as a feedback and move fast. Every small failure gets you closer to the situation that your solution actually works. And also we often wait for permission, yeah, and that's normal. We in academia setting, we always have to talk to our superior all the time. But in startup or in sciencepreneur world, no one has to give you permission. You have to take the first step. You have to take full responsibility. So that means reaching out to potential collaborators. As I said, that means maybe pitching your ideas, not to the investors, but maybe internally, or maybe seeking some early validation models, which all without or not without, with waiting too much might be useless. So the skill is initiative, initiative and maybe negotiating. So you're selling yourself and your ideas also. So this should be done even with way before you have a product. Some essential soft and hard skills. So we go a bit deeper into that, and we talked about some that academia don't. I mean, they teach it for sure. They teach it, but they teach it in different ways. So this is why I thought that we need to shift a bit our mindset around it. So now the soft skills. Clear communication. You need to explain your research in a way that I said anyone can understand it. Focus on impact, not just the technical details. Nobody cares the technical details of it. If someone outside your lab cannot understand why it matters, it's hard to translate it into real work further. So after that, we have problem solving and adaptability. Science teaches you to solve problems and as better as possible, but in real world solution needs to fit some constraints. So you have to adjust as you go. So you need to be very adaptable. Resilience. Setbacks and failures are kind of inevitable. So a failed experiment or a prototype doesn't work is not the end. This is another important thing. It's a feedback. It's learn quickly to keep moving forward. This is what I want to say also. So now the hard skills. Well, this is basic business literacy. So what I mean by that is that you don't need a master of bachelor's of business administrations. You don't need an MBA. But you need the basic knowledge of finance, for example. You need to do a bit of budgeting, and this can be done, of course, without doing an MBA. You need a bit of understanding of project management and maybe also marketing. But with marketing, more or less nowadays, we all know there are so many marketing agencies out there that they are willing to do it for us with a fraction of the cost that we might use in order for us to learn it. So you should understand how much time and money a prototype or a pilot might cost. So or how to plan a small validation experiment. This helps to communicate realistically with potential partners or funders. Market validation. This is about testing your idea, and this to be done before you spend years in building it, as I previously said. So talk to potential users, talk to customers, ask about their real problems and how they currently solve it. Listen to their pain and not for their complaints. The goal is to validate that the problem exists and that your research is part of the solution. So but we kind of covered that in the early validation slide that we looked at it, with the interviews and maybe the example with the landing page that they help you a lot into getting a sense of what's happening out there in the market. Intellectual property awareness, and this is again the intellectual property. As I said, it's a tool that protects your ability to translate your research. It gives you time. So you need to understand the basic of this also. Yeah, when to patent, when can you publish it, and you don't need to become, a lawyer to this, but you need to know enough to preserve options for your work to be used later. Yeah. So kinda, mastering those skills, especially, the hard ones, doesn't mean, that you have to quit academia. You can do all of this. You can learn business literacy in your own time. You don't need to pay a tuition fee for that. It's obvious. You can find all of the sources online. And nowadays, if you go on YouTube, you'll find all of these podcasts about business, and then you don't have enough time to actually listen to them. There are plenty of sources out there. Yeah. So adding those layers on top of your research, might help you reach, the people who can actually use it. Good. I think we kind of went through it a bit, but I want to touch another point here, so I don't repeat myself. You can learn all of those business things without, trying to become a CEO, to become a accountant. I just said, yeah. But one thing that I emphasize is this one. You are part of this community that is amazing. You have all of those great mentors with you. Yeah. So you don't need to do this alone. Yeah. The smartest sciencepreneurs use the expertise of that's already available. Yeah. They talk to people who maybe done it before now, that they had the step forward before them. So talk to your mentors, talk to alumni from your university. Maybe you can reach on them. Yeah. Or maybe for you researchers or colleagues, look for colleagues who maybe translated research previously. Good. Important. Yeah, lean on the right people. It's so beneficial for you. Good. So moving on, we will look at some case studies. So we talked a bit about, the concepts, the frameworks, and now I want to ground everything in reality with some examples. So when we think entrepreneur, we often think that, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, this is the things that comes in my mind when we hear entrepreneurs. But most disruptive companies of our time were actually built by sciencepreneurs and people who started in the lab, not in the garage as those guys. So we look at Moderna. Everyone knows it after COVID, but before COVID, Moderna was not a known name. Nobody knew about it, and it wasn't a traditional pharmaceutical company either. It for years Moderna focused on almost exclusively on mRNA as a platform technology. Most of the work they done was slow and uncertain for sure, but also very academic. So when COVID struck, Moderna didn't suddenly become innovative, as probably we all heard the stories, but they were already prepared scientifically. So this helped them. The lesson was that speed in sciencepreneurship comes from preparation. They had a lot of time to prepare it, not from shortcuts. So they could move fast because they had done, deep science in their domain for years. Another similar example is CRISPR Therapeutics, and they had a fundamental discovery in gene editing that become the basis for therapeutic targeting, from what I found out. That was to help previously untreatable diseases. So the lesson here is research, when paired with clear application, can attract investments and partnership. We all know that those companies make huge amounts of money. So they didn't commercialize overnight. They were struggled for years. They needed, of course, proof of concept. They done hundreds probably of intellectual properties protections and probably also collaborations. But in the end, all of those pays off. So now let's look at Impossible Foods. The owner was a Stanford professor for over 25 years, American from Stanford. So his background was in biochemistry and climate science. So at some point during his years in research, he realized something important. Publishing another paper about climate change won't reduce the emissions and won't change how people eat and look at climate change. So instead, he tried to convince people with arguments. So he tried to engineer a solution, and he came up with an understanding of proteins and molecular structure. So he done a great thing. He isolated the molecule that makes the meat taste exactly like meat, but from plants. So this might be very genius. It sounds a bit like marketing innovation, but this is what he learned. So this is by applying this biochemistry that he was good at. So again, not a businessman and who learned science, a scientist who choose application after lots of years into the research. Another example is Beyond Meat, and the last one, and those guys from Beyond Meat follow a very similar pattern. It wasn't built by chefs or branding experts or businessmen. It was built by scientists and engineers who working on the protein structure and texture of it. So what both Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat show us is that you can translate very abstract scientific knowledge into everyday products if you focus on use of it and not on novelty. So if we step back and look at these examples together, a clear pattern, I think it emerges, and this is that those companies didn't succeed because they become less scientific. They succeeded because they stayed rigorous and applied that rigor to real world problems. So you don't need to invent something completely new tomorrow, or by the end of next week. In many cases, the value is already sitting in the things that you use daily, in the methods and in the data you consider too niche to put it out there, expertise, that you take for granted. So sciencepreneurship starts when you start asking yourself, is it publishable? And start asking yourself, who else could benefit out of this? And again, I'm going to say it again, not every translation from lab to market works, and many fail for very predictable reasons. And next we will look at the other side of the story, common mistakes and what maybe we can learn from them. So now that we talk about the successful story, now let's look a bit into the other side. For example, for every modern and beyond meat or impossible success, there are hundreds and thousands probably of projects that unfortunately never leave the lab. So, and not, I want to say that, and I want to probably, if I haven't said it, I'll repeat it. It's not because it's bad science. It's because the translation failed, and the good news is that that these failures, we recognize that they have some patterns, some predictable patterns into it, and the mistake number one is starting with the solution, not the problem. So one of the most common mistakes researchers make is that they fall in love with the solution. We all say, look at this amazing method, look at the code I wrote, look at the model I built, and so on. So, but the market, doesn't care how elegant your solution is or how beautiful build is. It cares only if it solves a problem they actually feel. So real impact, starts with understanding, the whole pain around it and showing, a bit of brilliance, to put it like that. The common mistake again, it's waiting for the perfect results, and we do that often. We all of them we wait until makes perfect sense, until we are trained to reduce uncertainty as much as possible. But as I previously said, outside the lab, waiting too long often kills the opportunities. So the thing that we should all learn from it is that progress, beats perfection. So you don't need certainty. You need maybe a bit of clarity and a bit of direction. The mistake number three, confusing scientific novelty with value. This one is a bit subtle, to put it like that, but something that can be scientific novel and completely irrelevant to others at the same time. I know it doesn't make sense, but it is. Something can be scientific novel and completely irrelevant to the users, to the people out there. A small improvement in accuracy, maybe a small step in optimization or a new insight might be very valuable academically, but it's invisible for real world users. So unfortunately, how it works in science entrepreneurship is that value is defined by the users, by the people that are actually paying for the product, and not by the journal. Ignoring users until the very end. This is a common pattern that is happening, and researchers build fast and not only at the in the stop at the very end and only ask who might want this. You start with the building purpose in mind. You build it first, and in the end you ask yourself, well, who might want this? And you'll be surprised, because actually no one wants it, And the other thing, protection too early without publishing, too early without protection, and I think we touched this a bit, and there's no need to go back to it again. But the lesson here is that we all agree sharing knowledge is good, is great. This is what drives us and pushes the boundaries further. But it's important, if you want to do science entrepreneurship, that you share it at the right moment, in a smarter way. Good. So if we look at all of those mistakes, together, a pattern emerges, and they are all about, applying those academic skills, academic habits in a non-academic context. And sciencepreneurship doesn't ask you to stop being a researcher. Yeah, it asks you to add one more layer on top of it when you look at your work. Yeah. So let's focus on the next practical steps that you can do. And the first thing you can do, and literally now or tomorrow, I mean right now, let me just go through all of this. And there's not more to go, so bear with me a bit. And the first thing you can do is to take one research project that you already worked and reframe it slightly. Not to change the science behind, to redesign it, and not to redesign the experiment, is to ask yourself, if this worked perfectly outside academia, who would care? If it will be a company, it will be a hospital, it could be a public institution, I don't know, a nurse, a teacher, or any other user. And making sure that you answer this correctly, this step costs you a bit of time. It's very fast, but zero money. So it's just this mentorship. Yeah. Then the second step is talking to one person who is not a researcher. Yeah, not to pitch, not to convince, just to understand. Yeah. So ask them, go and ask them, how do you currently deal with this problem? And how frustrating are you about it? And what happens if it goes wrong? Yeah. So one conversation and can completely change how you see your own work, and if it's worth pushing it further. The third step is writing a single page. Yeah, not a paper, not to publish it, not a proposal to go to apply to some grants or prepare for a pitch. One page that explains very clearly the problem, why it matters, and what your research changes. And if you can't explain this properly, in one page, then the idea is not ready to leave the lab. And important, keep this page for you. Yeah, it's only for you. It's to force your clarity into this. The fourth step to map the path. Yeah, not the company. Yeah, this step is very important. You're not planning a startup. You're not planning a career change. You're just mapping the path for where you are and to the first possible use of it. Yeah. Finally, keep everything small. Yeah. Sciencepreneurship does not start with huge decision. Doesn't imply that. It starts with reversible ones, and you're not quitting anything. You're not locking yourself into a future with uncertainty. You are just opening door and you look inside and try to see what's there. So if you remember one thing from here, please do this. Yeah, in order to start, you don't need funding, you don't need a company, you don't need a business plan, and the most important, you don't need permission. Yeah, and you only need your curiosity and wondering where your research could go. Good. So now we focus on another aspect. Yeah, once you start thinking about the impact that your work can deliver, the next question is usually, yeah, okay, but who helps with this? Who's gonna help me? And the good news, you're not expected to do this alone. There are plenty of people that will be able to do that. So the first place to look is in your own university. And most university already have those technology transfer offices, yeah, innovation centers, and maybe this is not very common, but you might find proof of concept funds, yeah. If not, you can apply for grants and so on. But their job is not to turn you into an entrepreneur. It's obvious they want to keep you there to work for them. So their job is to help you evaluate your ideas. You can go to them very early, yeah, with your idea, even when your idea is still messy. It doesn't have to be in the page format I just told you. If your research might have value beyond publications, talk to them before publish. Yeah, another thing to protect from actually losing it. So outside the university are those so-called incubators, accelerators, and public innovation programs. Incubators usually provide also co-working space, mentorship and supportive community. You can work there your idea part-time, and it's often most common use for deep tech or also science-based project. Yeah, but yeah, this has some cost applied to it. Accelerators as well, yeah, they are limited, not as well in terms of costs, but they do something different. Those are limited time programs, usually from 3 to 6 months, and it's focused on refining the product, yeah, that you have business model, and maybe they teach you some pitching skills. Yeah, you'll have to, at some point, if it gets further, you have to go and pitch your ideas in front of the investors. And often what happens in the accelerators, they also include seed fund, yeah, so some money to start up, and investor access. Yeah, they provide you with people that are willing, if you convince them to pay you. And also the public programs, those are European Innovation Council. They are from Europe, also Horizon Europe, but I'm definitely sure that there are also in Turkey also national innovation agencies. I'm not fully aware, but you can do a bit of research, you can find that for sure. Here, the good part is that you can find non-dilutive funding. And what is this? This fund basically mean you don't give away equity. And what I mean by equity is ownership of your own company, of your own startup. So when they give you money, you don't give this equity away. But when investors give you money, you give them shares of a company, you give them equity. Yeah? Good. And also communities and meetups, and this is an important thing. Networking is more than critical. Yeah, even informal events and might help you to find either collaborators, advisors, or even users who will be very beneficial for you. Yeah. People matter more than programs. Yeah, this part that is, I think, it's very important. Yeah, programs don't build companies. Yeah, you can go to do an accelerator or incubator or things like that. They don't build it. People do. Yeah, so one good mentor is more valuable than 10 workshops and incubators. Yeah, talking to a founder who previously done that is just one step, to make sure that you can save yourself years of mistakes. Yeah. So you'll be surprised. Approach people. Most of them are surprisingly open to help you. Especially the researchers. So yeah, do that. Another thing I want to remove, maybe one fear that I might have put out there. Joining an incubator or talking to the technology transfer office inside your university doesn't actually mean that I'm starting a startup. Yeah, it doesn't imply that all of a sudden. It means I'm exploring ideas, whether I'm exploring if idea has a path, better said, and if this structure are there to make sure that it reduces risks. It reduces risks out of you, and you're not, pushed off of the cliff. Okay, so now it's your turn. So questions, first of all, anything may be unclear about the processes that we discussed or something like that. I don't know.
For the questions, first come, first serve. So if you have something in your mind already, you can start.
There will be something else after that, so yeah, we can use this time
Okay.
if you want. If not, we can push it to the end. Yeah.
Mhm. I
Well,
open.
okay.
Go ahead, Ece, please.
I have a question, but if that's okay, I can just ask I can wait
No,
and ask
we
at the
can use
end.
it right now. No
Oh,
worries.
okay, that's great. So I'm a bachelor student. I'm about to graduate, and most of my friends
Congrats.
are bachelor students as well. Thank you. And I just wanted to ask, to this day, I didn't know much about sciencepreneurship, and today I have a clear idea on what
Yeah,
is
that's
going on
amazing.
exactly. I just wanted to ask, what do you suggest to us to improve ourselves within this field? What are the characteristics I should have to be a good sciencepreneur in the future?
Well, the most important one I think is the curiosity, to and actually keep on asking yourself those difficult questions that they might be uncomfortable and not. It's gonna sound a bit funny coming from someone who teaches business and and things like that, but don't focus on the money. Yeah, don't go um, on with that in only with that in mind. Yeah, focus a bit into your curiosity, focus your in exploring your ideas, and money will follow after that for sure. So I think this is one thing that you can do. Yeah, never stop being curious and work towards your interest, and that way work won't feel like work. So I think this one I can say. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you also. Great question.
Handan hocam, please.
Thank you. First of all,
Thank you also.
this was very wonderful presentation. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. What were the most significant problems you encountered in your own enterprise, in your own journey?
Well, no, oh, maybe it's been a mistake or I don't know, but I actually haven't. I'm not an investor. I haven't done any startup. I'm coming from research, and I went from research straight to teaching. So I'm actually haven't done that yet. I'm also trying to um, take my own advice, to listen to my own advices that I give to maybe to younger generation than me, and implement it. But sometimes life gets in the way. But yeah, hopefully we all gather the courage to actually go on our on sciencepreneurship path. But yeah, I haven't yet.
Okay.
So
What about the practical questions? Most of the enterprises maybe say you or ask you some questions about his or her enterprise.
what question does users?
What's the most important part of this journey? What
Of
about you?
of the entrepreneurship or
Yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
sciencepreneurship, or well, I think the most important one, if we put it as an entrepreneurship in general, is actually staying consistent and looking and not getting involved too much into probably money, and looking also that people will see the value that you provide them, and not in terms of money. People will give you money only when they see that it's obviously that they get something in return. So if you in your entrepreneurship journey, you're focusing on delivering that value and seeing that they get what they are looking for, they are willing to pay you whatever you ask for. So this way you increase your margin, you increase your profits, and I think this is one of the challenges that entrepreneurs often lose their sight into it. They tend to not focus so much on the value to the end user, and in that regards they end up with less profits.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you.
also.
Bilim Hocam, please.
Thank you, Ayşe Hocam. Thank you for your very nice presentation, Alexander.
Thank you, Etienne.
I have a startup
amazing.
for 2 years, and I saw many difficulties during these 2 years, and I have patented my product.
Amazing.
And it's certified, CE certified now. I progress in many problems in 2 or 3 years, because I have founded my company for 2 years, but I have started before then. So I think it's 3 years I'm working on that product. I saw many important problem, I think, to find investor. Since I came to important period, and I got many patented, or many difficulties I passed, but I couldn't find any investor. But
No.
I think I need some chance or something else. I don't know. But the difficulty is that, I think. What do you think of about to find investor for startups?
Yes, it is a problem that's true, but what I see often is that as I probably kind of mentioned in when I talk, the investors are willing to pay if they actually understand what is your product. Maybe your product is too complicated. Maybe I'm
No.
sure it is
No,
something
it is very
amazing.
simple. It's
Ah.
about wearable electronics. It's thermal clothes. It's wrapped from to the your back,
Oh.
and like belt.
Mhm.
And it makes heats by using power bank, and also we are using nanotechnology
Oh.
in order to heat our body. It's very simple,
It
but
is, but what I can say, you added a lot of technical details over there
Yeah.
that if you go and present it to an investor, they are not interested. They are interested in the solution. So try to focus on what it does and how they can benefit. And this is what they are interested in. They're not interested in that it has this amazing technology in it. It definitely has, and it's there and it's obvious, but they are not really eager to hear that. They just, when they hear that you explain them some technical details, they just get lost, and that's all. And another
Yes,
advice that I
maybe.
can, yeah, another advice is, maybe I'm not sure how it is if you're based in Turkey, but definitely there are also accelerators there. Try to talk and see, go there and see if they provided this seed funding. The seed funding is basically the first money that they give away. It's and the seed funding usually goes, and it goes in a way, like I said, without equity, so you don't have to give parts of your company to that. And if if you look towards accelerators, yeah, you might find something, and they usually have all of those great connections with investors as well. And performing a nice pitch and focusing on what is delivering and not on the technical aspects, it might help you. So I'm wishing you all the best in that, and you should then should have had this presentation. I see that we are having CEOs here of their own startup, which is amazing. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Alexander.
Nihan, it's so nice to see you. You can go ahead and ask your question.
You too. Thank you. I have two questions actually quite quickly. You said that before publication we should apply for or file for a patent to protect our IP rights. What if it takes too long? How do you communicate that? How do you explain it to people but also still protect your idea?
Well, yeah, then it's a problem. Yeah, you basically cannot share it publicly, and because you can, of course you can share it publicly, but it comes with some risks. If you lose it, and then someone who moves faster and maybe has more money, they get approval faster, and then it's lost. So it's a gray a bit area, so you cannot maybe work around it. I'm not sure how the processes goes, but definitely there's some governmental institutes that might get involved, and I'm sure that there are ways maybe to fasten the process a bit. I don't know, but yeah, unfortunately, if you start publishing and maybe if you pitch it or things like that, you present it. Telling to your friends and to your family and to your mentor and things like that is not the same thing. Yeah, you can talk with people about it, but maybe recording yourself and putting yourself on YouTube saying that it gives it away, and it's obvious that someone else might take it away from you. So.
And my second question is that when you apply for a patent, you basically work at a I don't know, either research center or institute, academia, or industry, it doesn't matter. You work at a workplace and the workplace owns the right. How do you overcome the issues if your bosses or supervisors are not cooperative and try to block you? Have you done that before or not?
Well, no, I haven't had this problem, but yeah, I mean, if the place you work that you work is giving you trouble in order to help them actually make more money, then there is a big red flag over there. If they are finding you ways to not let you publish something that they can benefit also, then yeah, that's a big no to work there. But what you can do, you can of course start your own startup, having your own company. You just register it. I'm not sure how the rules are, but there are some rules in Turkey how to do that. You just register it and you patent after that on your own name or your own company. So you solve the issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you also.
And we have Banu raised hands, so please go ahead.
Firstly, thank you for very much for the valuable informations.
Thank you
And
also.
your presentation was very guiding for me. I have a question. As a student, how can I start thinking like a science entrepreneur while still at university?
Well, as a student, it's basic thinking on the mental shift that I just told you. Yeah, focus on how your work can help someone else, and do not focus on your idea maybe too much. Maybe focus on maybe a bit on their needs also. Go and ask them if they have this problem. Don't go and explain what idea do you have. Go and ask them and get their insights, and you might know from start if this idea actually fits in order to take it further.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you also.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, then I will give floor to Müjgan to
There are
give
something
her
else.
thoughts
This is
on
why I
your
asked. This is why I have something
You
else.
still have something. I'm sorry.
Yes. And yeah, if
Oh,
there's
there's one
still a
more
question.
question coming. Yeah.
Yes,
Please go
please.
ahead, Emine Hocam.
Thank you for a great talk, Alexander. It was very
Thank
insightful.
you. Thank you. You're too kind.
In sciencepreneurship, the researcher and the person who turns knowledge into a product aren't always the same,
Yes.
I think. What does an effective team structure look like in practice? Who are the key roles you want from day one, and how should responsibilities be
Be
split
split. Yeah.
between science, product, and commercialization? I can't say, sorry.
Yes. Usually this is a common thing that is happening, especially when there are more CEOs or more owners of the company, and the issue comes because in those type of businesses you cannot have the same format as a usual ones where the hierarchy comes from down to up. And the roles are a bit split, and if you start for example, you have your, I don't know, your own coffee shop. You are the boss of the coffee shop, and you have some people that are making the coffee or cleaning the place. They all report to you. This is the usual way. But when you have this sort of startup, you will have partners, and partners will have the same authority as you have, and usually here comes conflicts, and those cannot be settled easily, and usually it implies maybe a contract, and being set by and signed by all of them, and maybe by a lawyer as well, and everyone has the responsibility split already. If it's led from the beginning like a gray area, nobody knows what they do, but they all do the same thing. In the end, it appears the conflict. So it depends on what, maybe if there are two founders of the company, what skills does one have? Okay, so I am better of financing. Maybe you are better of the business management as a whole. Maybe you are good at marketing, and we decide each one what role to take, and we sign a contract. This is the most and the best way to actually agree on that, and after that nobody can say, well, it's not my job. Well, it is, because you signed it. And yeah.
Thank you, so clear. I got it. Thank you.
Thank you also.
Thank you all your information and for your time
Thank
and
you.
good presentation. And time is 10 p.m. o'clock.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was, I want to ask you about the challenges, but yeah, your ideas, but we move on. I just want to say one other thing, and uh, that's all. Yeah. So what's holding you back right now? Yeah. Is the time, is the resources, is the confidence, is the knowledge? Give a bit of a thought into this. I'm sure that you'll find the answer. And as I said, you don't have to leave academia to make a difference. Yeah. So impact, doesn't require to quit job or to quit your PhD or your postdoc. Yeah. It starts with this shift in perspective, and small action can create a real change. So maybe start with the pilot. Yeah, start with the pilot study. Start with the early validation that we discussed, and also talk to the end users, talk to the potential users, and yeah, most importantly, sciencepreneurship is about translation, and not abandoning your or giving away your scientific identity. Yeah, you remain a researcher, but now you also think in terms of who benefits and from your knowledge. Yeah, so thank you. This is we all. Thank you for joining today, and I hope I leave you with a bit inspired, and a bit more thoughts on how to take the next step forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexandru.
Thank you, Ayşe Hocam and Alexandru. I want to say a good night this for good information after. Okay.
Hopefully, thank you.
And I have recorded your session,
Amazing,
and
thank you.
we will upload our Bilim Kızı Girls, Bilim Kızı YouTube channel, and I will send you the link of
Thank you.
your speech.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the great insights. And yeah, hopefully I inspired you a bit. And if that's done, and yeah, then my job is done here. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good night.
Good night, all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Bye.